New Black Wall Street Book Club. Evan Jefferson, brother, much love. Educating, elevating, because in knowledge is the power and we'll never give it up. Literature that's for the masses. Where to put your money down, now how to watch your assets. Yeah, uplifting others is a passion. My brother Evan, he will turn it into action. New Black Wall Street Book Club. You should come read with us. Yeah, we comprehend and discuss. If we all just come together, there's no limit for us. Here comes your host, New Black Wall Street. Evan, take it away. New Black Wall Street. New Black Wall Street Book Club.
Hi, good day to you, beautiful people. Thanks so much for joining us here today on the New Black Wall Street Book Club, where Black folk do read. You put in a book, and we absolutely will find it. I'm your host, ERGJ, your certified global financial educator, CEO of ERGJ Enterprises, the Black Bazaar, and international best-selling author of the book, The Black Billionaires Club. The book that I wrote, guys, The Study of Black Wealth. It's the study of the 12 richest Black people in the world today and how they built their wealth. And I just truly believe that if you want to be wealthy, that's a big if, by the way. But if you do, I recommend that you study wealthy people. We can find that book and more by simply visiting the website at theblackbillionairesclub.com. That's right, theblackbillionairesclub.com. Pick up your copy today. Well, on today's session, guys, we are going to continue our journey into this phenomenal book, which is The University of Success, written by Og Mandino. Now, this book is a compilation of other excerpts from other authors as well, as he's compiled some of the greatest minds in history during his time alive, and kind of compiled them into this one compilation, which we look at as a success university, so to speak. So we're into lesson number 29, and today we are going to be reading How to Attract Success. How to Attract Success. Now, this is from author or from the mind of Cavett Robert. And this is lesson 29 from the University of Success, How to Attract Success. While you guys are connecting, go and let us know where you're connected from, what city, what state, what country you might be connected from as well. And if you happen to catch the replay, let us know in the comments below, #replay, as we continue the journey here. And if you got any suggestions for the next book for us to read through, leave that in the comments below. But let's go ahead and take a gander at lesson number 29, The University of Success. And our first short beginning says this, that 3 short rules that can help you to become as great as you want to be. 3 short rules that can help you to become as great as you want to be. From the University of Success, Cavett Robert, lesson number 29, How to Attract Success. New Black Wall Street Book Club. Let's read. In the past 28 lessons, you have already been supplied with more in-depth information on self-achievement than the average individual receives in a lifetime. But these lessons are only rungs on your newly built ladder of success. You and only you can accomplish each step upward through patience, desire, courage, and hard work. Listen to America's supreme motivational speaker, Cavett Robert. We've heard the expression climbing the ladder of success so often that its significance is lost in its simplicity. We know that a ladder is nothing but a tool, just an instrument to use in order to arrive at some destination. Likewise, a job is just a tool to be used in arriving at our goals in life. Let's consider the reason that a ladder is so symbolic. Everybody put in the comments below ladder. First, a ladder is designed for vertical and not horizontal use. It is to be used only for an upward climb. Also, a ladder cannot be climbed except by using one rung at a time. Just as people do not explode into success but grow into it, a ladder offers only a progressive means of travel. We use each rung as a foundation to reach greater heights. If we try to skip a rung, disaster is imminent. Perhaps the most important similarity between one's job and a ladder is that it requires effort to climb in either case. Not all people are willing to make the sacrifice and effort to reach the top of the ladder, but I can't conceive of anyone having so little ambition that he or she doesn't want to go up far enough to escape the congestion at the bottom. From his widely read book, Success with People Through Human Engineering and Motivation, Mr. Robert will teach you what you need to do in order to handle yourself with pride on your new ladder. Okay, so this is from the excerpt, Success with People. This excerpt is from his book, Success with People Through Human Engineering and Motivation. So back in 1935, I had a privilege I shall always cherish. I was invited to a luncheon as a guest. To my amazement and delight, Will Rogers was the speaker. This was one of the last speeches Will Rogers ever made because a few weeks later, he and Wiley Post started their flight around the world. We all know the tragic death that met in Alaska. Now, Mr. Rogers did not have the scholarly flavor of the academic taste that one might expect from some of the economic prognosticators of his day. But in a few words, he gave some of the most profound advice I've ever heard. I've read many books on success. I've heard dozens upon dozens on records on this same subject, but I don't believe there is a sure formula or a more certain blueprint leading to success. If followed conscientiously, then this one. If you want to be successful, he said, it's just this simple. Know what you're doing, love what you're doing, and believe in what you're doing. Yes, he said, it's just that simple. Now, let's look at this advice a little more closely. Know what you are doing, love what you are doing, and believe what you are doing. Know what you are doing, love what you are doing, and believe what you are doing. Know what you are doing. First, know what you are doing. There's no substitute for knowledge. In our approach to knowledge, we must realize that preparation is a constant process with no ending. It must be forever moving, never static. School is never out for the person who really wants to succeed. There is no saturation point. All economic research centers agree that because of the rapidly changing phases of our economy, the average person in any line of endeavor today, regardless of his particular field, must be retrained at least 4 times during his lifetime. Think of this. What was not only right, but even plausible yesterday is questionable today and might even be wrong tomorrow. It is somewhat disenchanting, I know, to find out that just as we learn one role in life, we're suddenly called upon to play an entirely new part, unrehearsed, as the drama of life must go on either with us or without us. Knowledge is accumulating so fast and methods of doing things improving so rapidly that a person today must run to stand still. Up to 1900, it was said that the accumulation of knowledge doubled every century. At the end of World War II, knowledge doubled every 25 years. Today, all research centers tell us that the volume of knowledge in existence doubles every 5 years. Where does that leave the person today who thinks he can stand still and survive? True success is a journey, not a destination. The constant demands of readjustment offer a challenge today that never existed before. No longer is preparation something that can be put in a drawer and forgotten about. Success itself has taken on a new definition. It might even be termed today as the constant and continuing preparation of ourselves to meet the constant and continuing changes of our economic system. Yes, success today is a journey and not a destination. Furthermore, in making this trip, the important thing is that we must be constantly moving forward. Yes, the progressive realization of a predetermined goal, and our growth should never end. Any person who selects a goal in life which can be fully achieved has already defined his own limitations. When we cease to grow, we begin to die. Horizons of change. One of the confusing mysteries to a child who travels along any road is that he cannot ever catch up with the horizon. None of us today can ever catch up with the horizons of change. We can only move in their direction. I'm sure it is a blessing that our reach does exceed our grasp. If our ambitions in life can be fully reached, then we have not hitched our wagon to a star. We would do great injustice to anyone if we painted a journey as being a path of roses. It is the pilgrim's road, full of obstacles and sacrifices. The only promise we can make is that if a person is willing to brave the hazards of the road, he will grow strong in the journey and keep pace with changing times. I'm sure you agree with me that regardless of how well qualified a person may be to meet the rigors of the life today, if he is lulled into a sense of false security and feeling that he needs no additional preparation for the future, that his journey can never be ended. Soon he will find that he is lost in the frustration of medieval thinking. We have heard it said many times that there is nothing in life as powerful as an idea whose time has arrived. Knowledge that is timely. If ideas are to be current and if knowledge is to be up to date, they must be forever moving, never static. And so, first and foremost, we must brace the principle that in order to be knowledgeable in these changing times, we must pursue a constant program of self-improvement, a never-ending journey into new fields of knowledge and learning. A day of specialization. Because of the rapidly accumulating knowledge of knowledge today, it is becoming increasingly important to specialize in some business, some industry, or some profession. There's no escape. This, of course, doesn't mean that an individual should not be well informed in the broad fundamentals and generalities, but it does mean that in addition to this, he should have to some extent be particularly knowledgeable in some aspects of his endeavors. A rather frustrated individual the other day said, since we must know more and more about less and less, I guess this also means we must know less and less about more and more, which also means pretty soon we're going to know everything about nothing and nothing about everything. Just how specialized are we? Two fellas were talking the other day, and one said, do you know, things are getting so specialized today that the National Biscuit Company even has a vice president in charge of Fig Newtons. The other said, I don't believe it. I bet you, said the first. They put up the money and then proceeded to call the National Biscuit Company. One said, I want to speak to the vice president in charge of Fig Newtons. The answer came back, packaged or loose. The president of one of the largest rubber companies was recently making a speech. After he finished, the chairman opened the meeting for questions. A young man in the front row said, would it be too personal if I asked you how you got to be president of this big company? Not at all, was the president's reply. I was working in a filling station and not making much progress. One day I read that if a person wanted to get ahead, he must know all there was to know about this particular product. So on one of my vacations, I went back to the home office and watched them make rubber tires. I watched them put in the nylon cords. On one vacation, I went to Africa to watch them plant the rubber trees and even extract the base of the crude rubber. So that when I talked about my product, I didn't say this is what I'm told or this is what I read or this is what I think. No, I said this is what I know. I was there. I watched them put those nylon cords in to make the finest tire ever made, to protect their family against blowouts. So I watched them extract the crude rubber to make the finest tire in the world. He then continued, there's no force in the world that has a greater impact than the statement of a knowledgeable person fortified by confidence and experience. A man who knows and knows he knows can speak with authority that has no comparison. The world makes way for a man who knows what he is doing. Know what you're doing. Only one way to wealth on this earth. Only one way to wealth on this earth. Everybody put in comments, so know what you're doing. Lincoln once said, the older I get, the more I realize that there is but one wealth, one security on this earth, and that is found in the ability of a person to perform a task well. But he didn't stop there. He went on to say, and the first and foremost, this ability must start with knowledge. A superficial knowledge is not enough. It must be a knowledgeable, capable. It must be knowledge capable of analyzing a situation quickly and making an immediate decision. A quarterback in the closing moments of an important game called the wrong signal. A pass was intercepted and the game and conference championship were lost. That was on a Saturday. By Tuesday afternoon, he had courage enough to venture out and be seen. He had to go out and get a haircut. The barber, after a long silence, said, I've been studying and thinking about that play you called last Saturday ever since you called it. And you know, if I had been in your shoes, I don't believe I would have called it. The quarterback, without changing his expression, said no. And if I had until Tuesday afternoon to think about it, I wouldn't have either. In this modern, competitive, and fast-moving economy of today, we often don't have time to think things over and give the careful consideration to each situation which we would desire. But still, I repeat, a superficial knowledge is not enough. Furthermore, a person who tries to substitute gimmicks and gadgets and gizmos for knowledge usually finds that it all boomerangs on him. He meets himself coming around the corner. Such an attempt reminds one of the headhunter who bought himself a new boomerang. Then he spent the rest of life trying to throw the old one away. I feel very sorry for anyone who thinks it's possible to substitute pull or personality or any other quality for fundamental knowledge. Yes, let's remember the sound advice of Will Rogers. If we are to be successful, we must first know what we are doing. We must first know what we are doing. Love what you are doing. Love what you are doing. But knowledge, important as it is not enough to ensure success in our complex society today. We have often heard it said a merely well-informed man is the most useless bore on earth. What was Will Rogers' next statement? Not only know what you're doing, but love what you're doing. What are we working for? Do we love our work, or are we working for money alone? If it's for money alone, we are underpaid, regardless of what we are making. Furthermore, that's all that we shall be working for as long as we live. Everybody loves to do business with an optimist. We can only be an optimist if we love what we are doing. Nothing takes a greater toll on us than to be around a pessimist, a person always finding fault and criticizing others. We have all seen the type. He has mental BO. He's the one-man grievance committee, always in session. He criticizes everyone and everything. You ask him how his business, and he says, well, I made a sale Monday. I didn't sell anything Tuesday. Wednesday, the deal I made Monday fell through. So I guess Tuesday was really my best day. I was recently in Boston attending a convention. I was kicked out of the hotel after 2 days. I thought I had a 3-day reservation. As the elevator came down, it stopped at the 7th floor, but nothing happened. I was irritated and in a hurry to catch an early plane and said, come on in. Nothing happened. Again, I said firmly, come in, let's get the show on the road. Still, nothing happened. Finally, in a loud voice, I said, come on in, let's go. I'll be left. At that moment, a fine-looking man with a white cane, completely blind, stepped in, cautiously feeling his way along. I felt awful. I had to say something, so I cleared my throat and said, how are you today? He smiled and said, grateful, my friend, grateful. I couldn't say a thing. I was choked up. Any impatience or worry I had simply shriveled into nothingness. Here was a man blessing the darkness while I was cursing the light. I couldn't have cared less whether I caught that plane. I found myself that night in my prayers asking that someday I might see as well as that person. Actually, each morning when I wake up, if we don't find our names listed in the obituary column, we should be so grateful that we are happy all day. We can say something nice about every person or subject involved in the conversation. If not, we can at least remain silent. Nothing is all wrong. Someone said that even the black hole of Calcutta was easy to heat. Down in Mississippi, we would say that prohibition was horrible, but that it was better than no whiskey at all. I heard a man's name brought up the other day. Someone lowered his voice and said, why, that fella's a confirmed alcoholic. The other person present said, well, at least he ain't no quitter. Let's follow Will Rogers' advice. Let's constantly seek a little larger slice out of life, a few more acres of the Garden of Eden. Let's look up for the happier things of existence. The great Will Rogers had a reputation of never criticizing. Why? Because he never met a man he didn't like. He never met a man he didn't like. So not only know what you're doing, not only love what you are doing, but also believe in what you're doing. Believe in what you're doing. Yes, Will Rogers said, know what you're doing. Love what you're doing. But he didn't stop there. He went further and said, believe in what you're doing. I heard of a man who telephoned his friend and said, Jake, I'm having a little informal birthday party tomorrow night, and I want you to come to it. Come just as you are. Don't stand on any ceremony. Just come right on up to the door, ring the doorbell with your elbow, and come right in. The fellow said, well, that's fine and good, but why my elbow? His friend said, Jake, maybe you didn't understand. It's my birthday. You're not coming empty-handed, are you? Above all else, I don't want you to be empty-handed. If you feel amused at a few anecdotes, if you are emotionally stirred or even mentally stimulated, that's not enough. The ultimate in human persuasion. The ultimate in human persuasion. In order that you will not be not be empty-handed, I shall give you in the next few sentences the greatest principle in human persuasion that exists. There's nothing in which is even a close second. If there's anything that is worth remembering, it is this. People are persuaded more by the depth of your conviction than by the height of your logic, more by your own enthusiasm than any proof you can offer. If I could describe the art of persuasion in one sentence, it would be this, and I know I would be right. Persuasion is converting people, not to our way of thinking, but to our way of feeling and believing. And if a person's belief is sincere enough and deep enough, he is a walking climate of positive acceptance. He has an obsession that cannot be denied. The most persuasive person in the world is the man who has a fanatical belief in an idea, a product, or a service. One common denominator of all great men in history is that they believed in what they were doing. If we could choose but one lantern to guide our footsteps over the perilous quicksands of the future, it should be the guiding light of dedication. It has been said that words are the fingers that mold the mind of man. Words, however, can be refused. but a positive attitude that springs from a sincere belief cannot. Positive attitude that springs from a sincere belief cannot. You must first believe in the idea yourself. You must first believe in the idea yourself. I've heard people say, in effect, do you believe in clairvoyance, telepathy, or psychoprediction? It's a strange thing. I knew that person was going to accept my idea the moment I walked in. Do you think I could have received thought transference? The answer is too obvious to need elaboration. The person presenting the idea had already made the big sale. He had bought the idea himself so completely that he was practically hypnotic in his persuasive powers. On the other hand, I've heard of a person say, I can't explain it, but I know that fellow was not going to accept my idea even before I opened my mouth. Of course, he wasn't. The person presenting the idea didn't believe in it, and he radiated this lack of belief. He was simply admitting that he had no enthusiasm for the idea, and consequently, he couldn't project any enthusiasm. Yes, I repeat, the world is a looking glass and gives back to every person a reflection of his own thoughts, his own beliefs, and enthusiasm. I have a picture at the home that a friend painted for me. It's a picture of an old tramp sitting on a park bench. He has 3 holes in his shoes. His knees are out, and he needs a shave. His hair looks as though it had been combed with an egg beater, and he's chewing a straw. A Rolls Royce goes driven by a chauffeur carrying a man in a tall silk hat. The tramp looks at it lazily and philosophically says, there except for me go I. Okay. That was strange. I have a picture at home that a friend painted for me. It's a picture of an old tramp sitting on a park bench. He has holes in his shoes and his knees are out, and he needs a shave. His hair looks as though it had been combed with an egg beater, and he's chewing a straw. A Rolls Royce goes by driven by a chauffeur carrying a man in a tall silk hat. The tramps look at it lazily and philosophically says, there except for me go I. Don't chain yourself to mediocrity. Don't chain yourself to mediocrity. The only chains and shackles that prevent any of us from realizing our life's dreams are those we ourselves forge in the fires of doubt and hammer out on the anvil of lack of belief in what we say or do. Will Rogers, bless his great heart, said, know what you're doing, love what you're doing, believe in what you're doing. Where can we find any directional compass in life better than this? I know of no qualities that can be a better formula to follow, a safer directional compass than these great directives of Will Rogers. Study them carefully and have faith in their guiding qualities. They can lead only to success. So 3 things we take away from today, beautiful people. Know what you're doing, love what you're doing, believe in what you're doing. And this is from lesson number 29, How to Attract Success, from the book, The University of Success, written by Mr. Og Mandino. Love for you to share your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think about today's excerpt? What was your takeaway from today? We don't do this just to do this. We do this to make a difference, and hopefully we made a difference in your life here today. I want to say thanks so much for tuning in to today's episode of the New Black Wall Street Book Club. And I want you guys to remember this, that it takes a village. It starts with us. Let's build as we climb together. We all we got, beautiful people. Matter of fact, we really need. And thank God, that's more than enough. Until next episode, you know what time it is. Mr. DJ, hit the music.
New Black Wall Street Book Club. Evan Jefferson, brother, much love. Educating, elevating, because in knowledge is the power and we'll never give it up. Literature that's for the masses. Where to put your money down, now how to watch your assets. Yeah, uplifting others is a passion. My brother Evan, he will turn it into action. New Black Wall Street Book Club. You should come read with us. Yeah, we comprehend and discuss. If we all just come together, there's no limit for us. Here comes your host, New Black Wall Street. Evan, take it away. New Black Wall Street Book Club.